Hello, I am NateBob27, and just a couple days ago, I completed Doom 2016. And yes, I know that's really late. It's not good, but I didn't even thought that I would be playing this game 8 months ago. One day, I just found it on sale, and I just happened to buy it because I didn't have anything else to play this summer. So, I did. I downloaded it onto my Nintendo Switch, and I played it. A heck of a lot. I played it a good 30 or 40 hours, and now that I've finally completed the game, I can say that Doom 2016 is a masterpiece. And I know that nobody's actually watching this review to find out if the game's for them, because this game's 8 years old, and it's already sold a crap ton of copies. So, if you're watching this, it's only because you like to hear me talk, or you just want to hear what I think about Doom. And I'm making this because I just want to talk about Doom 2016 and how amazing that game is. So, we got a heck of a lot of ground to cover, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Where to even begin? Well, let's start with the story. You play as a guy named the Doom Slayer. And just as a side note, I think this guy's character arc is like the best. You go from like a marine who got demoted to security to a freaking hell warrior fighting off demons in hell. It's just so cool. I really love the character arc of the Doom Slayer. It's just so much fun. And also, the story is very impactful because I just thought, oh, it's just gonna be a shooter, blast everything in your path. But no, the story in this game is fairly substantial. It leaves off on a pretty big cliffhanger, and the whole plotline is pretty complex. And there's even a secret villain. So the entire thing is just very, very appealing. And also, the plot really helps set up the gameplay. Now, the gameplay in Doom is its biggest achievement. Gameplay in this game is the most fun, most satisfying, just awesomest gameplay I've ever played in my life. Okay, so the basic premise: if you hit a guy in the head, he'll get stunned and he'll flash like yellow or blue. And you can go over to him and press down the right stick to do a glory kill. And this nets you some extra health points and even some ammo. This is extremely satisfying. And you have great reason to do it because it nets you a couple extra health drops. And there's other things that make the combat so satisfying too. Like the fact that you move super fast. And you have to move super fast because standing still in this game means death. Also, another thing that makes the combat really good is the chainsaw. The chainsaw, you just go through and you just go and cut through everything and just run and slice. And one really good thing about the chainsaw, if you're ever out of ammo, switch to the chainsaw, cut one imp's head off, and boom, you got unlimited ammo. Fill up all your guns all the way to the max. So the chainsaw is really helpful, really fun to use. But one problem with it is that, like, for bigger enemies, you take 3 of, like, the chainsaw points or whatever it is, and I can say with full confidence that it should just be 1, or it should have, like, a meter that runs out the more you run it, because this stupid, like, point gas number thing is just, that's one of my biggest complaints with the chainsaw. It's, pretty annoying to use on bigger level guys. But besides that, the combat in this game is pretty much flawless, especially because the array of different guns. There's the shotgun, which is already super satisfying to use. The super shotgun, which is even more satisfying, and it looks super cool. It's like an old west tiny gun. The heavy machine gun, the chain gun, plasma rifle, Gauss cannon or whatever it is. The pistol, which has infinite ammo, but does very little damage, so it's a nice little balance there. And the rocket launcher, which is also really fun to use, but hey, I won't get into spoilers. And the real fun thing about Doom is that it's always moving. You're always moving. You're always punching guys in the face and shooting them and making it rain raspberry jelly. And you're like, oh no, I'm about to run out of health. But oh, you get new health from that glory kill, so you can keep going. And you're just jumping and flying across the whole arena. It's just so much fun. And whenever you get a glory kill, it's just so much fun. Especially like one of those big demons that's such a bullet sponge that's so frustrating to fight. Then when you finally get a glory kill on it, or finally get enough chainsaw points to cut it down, it's so much fun. And can we talk about annoying enemies? This game has got so many annoying enemies. There's this really big enemy that's the biggest bullet sponge on the planet. There's this one enemy that shoots at you and it like flies around the map, and you get like a second to hit it, but you can't because it's so tiny. Then there's this other one that flies in the air and shoots rockets at you, and you can't aim at it because it's so high up. Then there's this one floaty thing that shoots like stuff out of its mouth, and you have to hit it in the mouth to kill it, but you have to wait for it to open, and whenever it opens, it stuns you with its attack. Oh, I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them all. But we still love the game because it's still so much fun to fight all the other enemies, like one-shotting imps. My favorite thing in the world. Speaking of combat, when you kill enemies, it fills up 5 little dealies on the top right of your screen that give you weapon upgrade points. Now, what can you do with these? Well, you can use them to upgrade your weapons in the dossier. Well, and you can do all kinds of things with these upgrades. You can environmental resistances, and you can use them to upgrade your mods, which we'll get into later, and you can even upgrade your suit with Praetor tokens that you find all over the place. It's just really fun to upgrade everything. And another thing to talk about is the runes. See, you find these little stone dealies around places like in hell and just wherever really after the first couple levels, and they take you to a little challenge room where you have to kill all the whatevers or shoot all the whatevers with a certain gun with a time limit, and these can be positively insane, but the rewards are pretty plentiful. You can have up to 3 runes activated at once, and you can even level up the runes too. So yeah, there's a lot to level up in this game. You can find these Argent energy cells, which can let you choose between health, armor, or ammo, and every time I get one of these, I am so conflicted on which one to get. Do I get health, or do I get armor, or do I get ammo? Every single time it takes like 5 minutes for me to upgrade them. And these are super fun to track down. Each level at least has one, and also the little animation of you crushing the orb and having the energy flow through your veins. Something about that to me just looks so cool and so satisfying when it finally like crushes. Speaking of Argent energy, how about we talk about the story again, because we already did, but didn't really get into it very much. So there's this facility on Mars, which is called the UAC, which uses portals to hell to mine Argent energy, which is basically just hell energy, and they use this to supply energy to the world. It's free energy. Especially, I love the little intro speech, the whole, like, things have definitely gotten out of hand, but it was for the betterment of humanity. It's just so much cool. I love the whole Argent energy thing, and I also love the UAC. I love how they all treat this like it's a normal company or facility, but really they're just mining hell energy for research and energy, and they have demons that they're dissecting and inspecting. They just treat it like it's normal, and it's the funniest thing on the planet. And naturally, they wake you up because, well, mining hell energy and dissecting demons probably is a little risky. No, it's fine. Let's do it anyway. Oops, a horrible disaster just happened. We need to wake up the Doomslayer. And like I said, this Doomslayer is a guy who used to be a Marine and then got demoted to security and then found himself in hell fighting. And then he got woken up by these people to go destroy the place. And the reason he loves destroying these demons and the reason they woke him up is because they killed his family, and that's the whole reason he's fighting. So, naturally, he's pretty mad about that, so he just shreds the demons apart. And they know this, so they wake him up. And immediately, guess what you do? You just take a possessed scientist and you crush his face in, grab a pistol, and start shooting at other possessed scientists. It's just so cool. And then Professor Hayden, no spoilers, he's a super sketchy guy who tells you it's completely normal and good for humanity, and the Doomslayer is not having it. So, no spoilers, but it gets interesting towards the end of the game. And now this all revolves around the story's main baddie, Olivia Pierce. Or at least you think the story's main baddie. No spoilers. She, for some reason, decides to open a portal to hell and destroy the place. And then open up the tower and then fall into hell. And also awaken a couple demons that you have to fight as bosses. And one complaint here, real quick. Bosses. The pacing on bosses, the first half of the game doesn't have any, and then the last half has 3 of them. I'm just saying, it's a little weird. So anyway, you go follow around Olivia Pierce and then try to undo her bad actions, and then you get this one really cool sword, like the Constable, or I can't remember the name of it, something like that. that you use to destroy the place, and then somebody steals it. No spoilers though, and it's all just really cool, and that's all I'm gonna spoil for you now. Well, you probably this game has been out for 8 years. I mean, I'm pretty sure you don't need to stay away from spoilers, but I'm just keeping it safe. So all of this can just be a review for, Doom, the general Doom. But how does it run on each console? Well, let's start with the Switch, since it's the most interesting. It actually runs pretty good on the Switch for how action heavy it is. Like, it runs at a pretty solid 30 FPS, but there are inevitably some rough spots, like when you're fighting a big group of guys. But one notorious spot that you're gonna hit some lag is before Olivia opens the portal to hell and you need to fight a massive onslaught of enemies. I'm pretty sure I have this on the screen right now. I probably don't because I'm lazy, but just imagine I do. It really lags pretty darn bad once you get into this fight, but it doesn't last too long and it doesn't really matter at all. And besides, the other times, it's really not too bad, and it's just a couple drop frames before it gets back to smooth stuff. And it really just depends on what area you're fighting in. Like, it's more likely to lag in a more visually pressing area than it is in a rather bland area, and the enemies that you're fighting. And it has to be the types of enemies that you're fighting, because some enemies are really big and really hard to render, so it can get a little laggy sometimes, I can admit. And also, it can lag a little bit in the boss fights. And also, let's talk about the boss fights. Besides that one complaint of the scaling, they are actually really good. And the last one in particular is really good. You have to hit its Megamind head thing. It's weird, and I love it. And also, the second one that you have to fight in the middle is also probably the best one because it's armored and you have to shoot it after its attack. They're all just really good. I really love the bosses. Back on pace to the performance though. The resolution on the Switch version is also not the best. It caps out at 720p, but there is some master for anti-aliasing, and all texture resolutions and polygon counts are really high, so it really doesn't look too different. But it is dynamic, so whenever you hit some drop frames, it's gonna scale down the resolution. And in handheld mode, it looks like it's below 720p, but the screen is so small that you can't really even notice it happening. But on other consoles like PS4 and Xbox One, it runs at 1080p and 60 FPS the entire time, and it's really good. And another thing to mention, the load times are a lot quicker on the PS4 version compared to the Switch version. I don't really care about load times, but that's another thing to talk about. And then on the PS5, we're talking 4K and 120 FPS as expected. But back to the Switch version, one specific thing, it's missing Snap Map, the game's level editor. And I think that this is absolutely appalling. The Snap Map incorporation of the game is probably one of the best. It's what took me so long to beat it on PS4 because I just played it so much. It's so much fun. I love sharing levels and playing through them with my friends. So I really wish that Snap Map was in the Switch version so I could play it anywhere, but it's not that bad. Anyways, it runs basically the same on Switch as everything else, and Snap Map isn't that big of a difference, but to me it is because it's one of my favorite things. But seriously, is it gonna impact the price too much? No. Okay, now since this review is 8 years old and really not useful at all, how about let's do how worth it is in the current year, the year of our Lord 2023. Well, this game is technically free on PS4 and Xbox One, but it still costs the signature $60 on Nintendo Switch. Oh, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it costs $60 on the Switch, which is kind of a bummer, but it's still very much worth it because it's still an amazing game, and it holds up just as good now as it did when it came out, and probably will hold up just as good 20 years from now. Anyway, Doom 2016. It's just an amazing game. Every single aspect of it is amazing. You got amazing combat, amazing upgrade systems, amazing story and characters, and you got really cool enemy designs. And if you're into challenge, then this game's got you covered. We got a whole bunch of difficulty options that are awful. They're just impossible. But I'll skip on those. I'm lucky to beat the game on easy. I swear, that last boss, oh boy, is it hard. There you go. Those are my thoughts on Doom 2016. And I can firmly say that it is one of my favorite games ever. I just love every single aspect of it. It's just so much fun to crush demons in the face and look for Arch Energy and little Doom figures to upgrade your weapons. And oh my god, I started up a new play file to record some footage for this review after I beat it, and accidentally started an entire new playthrough, so I need to go keep progressing on that, and I'll edit this video later. And until then, I'm NateBob27, and I'll see you in the next video!
Face